Hello, hello. How are you all doing? Wow, okay, I've got a notification here that we can't connect to Facebook, but on Zoom it says that we are live. So let me double check. Let me double check if that is true. Hey, Laura. Hey, Jimarai. How are you doing, lovelies? And yeah, we actually are live. So amazing. I'm just going to copy the link in our Facebook group so people can watch us there too. And then I'm going to speak about today's topic because I think it will help all of you to feel a little bit less nervous when teaching yoga. A lot of you describe that when they go to a yoga class and they have to teach either a group of people or just one person, they feel really nervous because maybe they're not entirely sure or confident in their teaching skills. Maybe they fear that people judge them on their accents, their teaching techniques, their pronunciation, or even the words that they use in the yoga class. There's a lot of different reasons. I'm going to explain what exactly the reasons are for feeling nervous. I will also give you some mindset shifts and some solutions to really not feel nervous anymore, or at least a lot less. All right. So I'm going to double check. Are we live on Facebook? And is the link? Yeah, everything is working here. That is true. Okay. And you can hear me. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Let me drink a sip of water. Also, I am a little bit in the middle of nowhere in Morocco at the moment. I'm celebrating my birthday away from home in a really nice place, but it means that the internet connection isn't super reliable. So if I'm being cut off or if you can't hear me well, write in the comments and I can switch to my gigas. I'm working with Wi-Fi right now, but it's not 100% reliable. So do let me know and I will dive in. Also, I want to share with you, it's my birthday today, and that means we have opened up enrollment for the course bundle. And this course bundle contains 4 different courses to help you find your voice, to embody your role as a yoga teacher, and learn all the vocabulary that you need to teach yoga and to communicate with your students about a variety of yogic topics. Now, usually this bundle is $445, but because it's my birthday and because we are opening enrollment for the first 2 weeks, so from today, the 28th of June to the 9th of July, you can enroll with $95 off, which makes it only $350. 4 courses, which will really, really help you to build the foundation of your teaching personality, teaching yoga and English, really embody your voice or find it. And then with that, find all the words, the vocabulary, the expressions, the terms that you need for your yoga classes, meeting the needs of your students, and to be able to express yourself confidently, accurately, and authentically. So check that out. The link is in my bio. But that's not what we're speaking about today, right? It's really just what we can do about feeling nervous when we teach yoga. Now, I've experienced this myself too, right? And I know that a lot of people do. I remember the times that I most experienced this was when I started teaching yoga in Mexico. And I was really nervous because I was in Mexico, but I was teaching a lot of people that came from the United States of America. And as a non-native English speaker, but also a teacher from abroad, I was really afraid that people would judge me because I didn't have a lot of yoga teaching experience in that time. And also I thought that they would judge me because I explain or I teach things differently to what they are used to. Because teaching in the US might be very different from teaching in Europe, for example. And I felt that the students I was teaching there had more experience than me at that time. practicing yoga, not necessarily teaching because they were not teachers themselves, but they had practiced yoga for maybe 20 or 30 years already. And I was really afraid that they would judge me, or that I would say something stupid, or that I would say something wrong or incorrect, right? So I have experienced this myself too. And what I share with you today is what I did to overcome it. And obviously what I teach all people that I work with as well. Now, in that time, I really thoroughly prepared my classes. But there were times that I wasn't prepared for things that they came to class with. Think of people, because we were in the heat, people that fainted in a yoga class, right? They passed out because it was so warm there, so hot. Or people that had sensitive knees. There were people with hip replacements, or other types of injuries that I wasn't prepared for. Lots of different things that made me really nervous because I didn't have the knowledge, or I didn't have that type of experience yet. So what I did were lots of mindset shifts and preparing myself for unexpected situations. And how can you really prepare yourself for unexpected situations? Because they're unexpected, right? But I will tell them, I'm going to share that in our training today. Thank you so much, everyone. I see some birthday wishes and lots of hellos. So good to see all of you. I'm really, really happy to share this hour with you today and connect with all of you. And I hope that today's training is going to be useful for everyone. So in the comments, let me know, do you feel nervous when you teach yoga? And are there moments that you feel more nervous, or are there moments that you feel less nervous? Write down your experiences with what it is to feel nervous when you teach yoga. What are your experiences with this? Yeah, write it down in the comments. Now, I want to start with some common causes, right? What could be a reason why you feel nervous? What could be a reason why you feel nervous? If you already know, write it in the comments as well. Because I think there are many, and I'm going to share 6 with you, the 6 most common things. I always feel confident. Amazing, Lourdes. Well done. That's great to hear. And I would love to hear your secrets as well. Write them to us as well in the comments. Share with us. So I think one of the most common causes is overthinking. Nessa says, before not knowing my sequence. And Ludo, before the lessons. Yeah, I completely understand. I understand. One of the things that can be a reason why you feel nervous is overthinking, right? What I do want you to remember in this case, overthinking means that you're thinking a lot about all the things that could happen, all the things that could go wrong, all the things that people may think or may judge you for, right? But I want you to remember that you don't know and you can't control what other people think. Yeah, you don't know and you can't control what other people think. And you also can't predict what goes on in their own lives, right? They may be in a very difficult situation at home, or maybe they're going through a rough period with their partner. Maybe they have a very challenging situation at work. You don't know what's going on in their lives and what stories, what situations, what feelings they bring to class when you teach them. So it's logical that based on your own insecurities, you can interpret it body and facial expressions that are not true. People can be concentrated and look very serious and make you feel as if they're judging you, right? Especially in a yoga practice, people do look very concentrated because they're deep into their own practice. They're really feeling into their own body, connecting mind, body, and breath. Or maybe they're reflecting on things that happen in their life. Often, the last thing that they think of is you, or what you're doing, or what you're saying. They're really busy thinking about their own things. So stop overthinking what people may think or believe about you, and really just let them be and try to focus on your students instead. I'm going to go there in a moment. One reason why you may feel nervous, overthinking. The other thing, which may be logical, but is lack of confidence, right? A lack of confidence. And you may feel unconfident for many different reasons. It could be a lack of experience. It could be a lack of teaching practice. It could be a lack of having received feedback from other teachers. It could be feeling unsure about what you teach, or not teaching what you know. Not teaching what you know is one of the things that I teach you in the course bundle. I go into a lot of detail of this. So teach what you know very quickly means that you teach things that you have fully processed, that you have lived, that you have experienced, you research them, and you really do know what it is that you're teaching. Lived experiences, really. But maybe you don't do that, and that makes you feel nervous. Yeah. So lack of confidence, lack of teaching practice, lack of teaching in general, or not sure about what you're teaching. That's all different reasons why you may feel nervous. Another one could be that you think that you're not good enough. And when you believe that you're not good enough, you compare yourself to other teachers. It could be that you compare yourself to teachers that you've done your training with, or teachers that you have practiced with. Maybe it's a teacher that you like to practice with on YouTube or on social media. You're really your own authentic self. And that's the person, that's the teacher that you bring to class. And your students love you for being your authentic self. More so, if you completely own yourself, your accent, your use of words, the ways of expressing yourself, your students love you even more, because that means that they also have the space, they also feel the freedom to accept themselves, to embrace themselves, and to develop a sense of self too, right? So one of the reasons why could be not feeling sure about yourself, right? Or comparing yourself to other teachers. But I want you to remember that as soon as you find your authentic self, your students love you even more for it. And I'm going to come back to this in a moment. There's a few more reasons why, and I want to share those quickly with you too. One of them, actually, Nessa wrote this in the chat, and she said, it could be that I'm unsure because I don't know my sequence. This really links to being afraid of remembering, of not being able to remember things. So it could be that you're afraid you don't remember your sequence. Maybe you're afraid that you don't remember your cues, the words or the instructions. Or maybe you're afraid that you don't remember the asana names, for example, or the order of the asanas, which is also part of the sequence. It's normal that you're afraid that you forget things. But is that really a problem? Is that really a big mistake? I don't think so. It's normal. But what we can remember, if you don't use it, you will lose it. So to overcome that fear, practice, prepare yourself. And I'm coming back to that in the solutions. So it's only logical that sometimes you need a little bit more time to think of the right words or to recall the exact meaning of a word. But how can you expect yourself to produce that language, to produce the words, the expressions, or the sentence structure without trying it or without practicing? Try it, make a mistake, receive feedback, and then try again. Yeah, maybe you say it right, maybe you make another mistake and you can laugh at it, right? Every mistake you make is an opportunity for you to improve. Wow, I'm sharing a lot of different things that I will come back to that again after. But being afraid of forgetting things or not being able to remember things really is also overthinking the situation. Yeah, just as the first few times that you practice tree pose, for example, you may stumble, you may forget to press through the four corners of your feet, you may forget to find a focal point in front of you, or to stand up tall, right? We forget things all the time because we're in the process of practicing and owning something new in terms of language, a skill, communication, your yoga practice. It's a process, and a process needs practice. Every day is different, but the more you do it, the more likely you will be able to recall words more naturally, more fluently, and also use them correctly straight away. Right? So if one of the things that makes you nervous is that you're afraid of forgetting or not remembering, practice and prepare yourself. Wow. The next thing, and this one is really, really important. It's one thing that a lot of people, especially teachers that are starting, or teachers that are starting to teach in another language, deal or struggle with. And this one is a reason why for feeling nervous is that you're taking on a character. What does that mean? If you're taking on a character, you're trying to be like someone else. If you're taking on a character as a yoga teacher, you are probably trying to take on the role of what you think a yoga teacher should be like. Now, there's two problems with this. Number one, you don't feel yourself. And number two, you're actually not being yourself, right? You don't feel yourself and you aren't yourself. When you don't feel yourself, or you think you need to be a certain way or speak and behave a certain way, you start acting. Now, acting is something really inauthentic, but it's super common among new yoga teachers or teachers that maybe have a lot of experience teaching in their first language, but then start to teach in another language. When speaking in a foreign language, you may sound a little different, yeah? Or you express yourself a little bit differently than in your first language. But with practice, you will also learn to express yourself the way that you want to. And you don't have to feel like a stranger to yourself anymore. So the more you practice, the more you will develop yourself, the more you will develop your teacher self in English as well. And the more you will feel, or the less you will feel like you're taking on a character. Last week, I spoke about how to overcome the fear of speaking English. How to overcome the fear of speaking English. And this training you can adapt as well to how to overcome the fear of teaching yoga. Because really, it's all about being seen, being heard, the development of owning yourself, becoming yourself, and showing up as your true self or your authentic self. So if one of these two things, the fear of speaking English or feeling nervous when you teach yoga, very often they are linked. They are linked things. So watch both of the trainings if you haven't already. Now, the first time, and I shared this with you last week, the first time that I spoke Spanish, for example, I felt extremely uncomfortable with myself. I honestly wish I could disappear because I really, truly didn't feel myself. Now, years later, when did I start learning Spanish? I think it was in 2017 or 18. 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Right now, I jump at every chance that I can speak Spanish or practice it because I no longer see it as something that's scary, but rather an opportunity to develop myself, my vocabulary, and also really just explore what I can sound like or how I can express myself in a language that's foreign to me. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten where I am today with my Spanish, neither with my English, neither with my Portuguese or German, without making thousands of mistakes. And still today, it's never completely perfect. And perfectionism or perfection really shouldn't be your goal anyway. Yeah. So, problem with taking on a character is that you don't feel yourself. If you don't feel yourself, you're inauthentic. And if you're inauthentic, people in your class can notice that energy as well. So what I want to say with that is if you're not developing your authentic self as a yoga teacher, it can be really uncomfortable for the receiver. And the receiver in this case is your student or your client. In my teaching days, working at a language center, many different language centers actually teaching English, from the first few words that someone said, a new student would say, I could tell where they had learned English, yeah? Or where they had learned to speak English, rather. Some learn by reading. Some learn by reading and literally sound like a textbook. They sound like a book, yeah? They sound too correct, too formal, or too robotic. It's not very natural. Doesn't mean that you can unlearn it, but it's a way that you can tell people learn. Others, they learn on the street and they produce a lot of language that maybe rappers use or people use in popular series, for example. And others, again, they have studied English for specific purposes. So they really sound like they only know things about medical stuff or English for law, English for business, right? And it all doesn't matter because everyone has their own goal, their own purpose of learning English. But if you're a yoga teacher, you have to practice in the context of teaching yoga or speaking about yogic topics, or at least the topics that you want to discuss with your students too. People join your classes for thousands of different reasons. One of them is self-acceptance, including self-love and compassion. By trying to speak and sound like other people, you neglect your authentic self. And basically, you're giving off a sign that you do not accept yourself. Yeah, you give people the idea that you're uncomfortable with yourself, that you don't like yourself, maybe for the way that you sound or for the way that you express yourself. And you try to mask that, you put on a mask by imitating others. Now, remember that your students come to class for you. You are not an imitation of Yoga with Adrienne or Yoga with Cassandra. Yeah, you're not an imitation of another yoga teacher. Embrace yourself, embrace your sound, your accent, your word choice, your pronunciation, and be unapologetically yourself. This is what your students want in a class. Not another Yoga with Adrienne. If they like Yoga with Adrienne, they will practice with her, but they come to your class for you. So develop your authentic self and your personal expression. Final reason for feeling nervous when you teach yoga. And this could actually be a past experience. It is possible that you had a negative or a bad experience. And that maybe in the past, people laughed at you for something that you said, yeah? Or maybe they made fun of your accent or your pronunciation. It could also be that you had a teacher that corrected you on every single mistake that you made. And that it came out the wrong way, that they sounded very strict, but really they meant it in a way that they wanted to help you. Maybe you felt judged about it. Maybe you felt like you're doing something wrong. Maybe you felt like you're not good enough, right? But I do think that most people, when they correct you or when they want to help you find a word, or when they already give you the word while you're still thinking of it, they mean it with the best intentions. So it can be that you had a bad experience, But I really believe that most people do this to help you, right? So even if they've laughed at you, even if they've corrected you on every single thing, even if they give you the words and you're still thinking about it, people mean this with the best intention and they really want to help you. So if it's a bad experience or a negative experience for which you feel nervous teaching yoga, try to let go of these experiences and not take them personal anymore. 99% of the time, people mean well and they want to help you. Yeah, and really, really do not intend to hurt you or offend you. Remember that. But it can be one of the reasons why. Now, you've got 6 reasons why you may feel nervous. Just to quickly summarize for those that came in later. Number 1, overthinking. Number 2, lack of confidence in your teaching skills. Number 3, not feeling good enough or comparing yourself to other teachers. Number 4, afraid that you will forget or afraid that you can't remember maybe your sequence or specific words. Number 5, taking on a character, not being your authentic self or not having developed your authentic self. And number 6, number 6 is a negative or a bad past experience. So it really is great to be aware of what it is to that makes you feel nervous, right? It all starts with awareness. From that awareness, we can shift our mindset and look at the solutions. So what can you do to shift your mindset when you feel nervous about teaching yoga? Any ideas? Write them in the chat, everyone. Any ideas? Let me see. I'm just going to check on Facebook because I think I saw some comments. I feel nervous when I'm introducing a new sequence. Yeah, that makes complete sense. So something new, right? Something new can also make you feel nervous. And that could be because you're not entirely certain on the concept yet of teaching what you know. And remember, teaching what you know is one of the things that I teach you in the course bundle, how to teach what you know. Focus on an intention. Very good, Enga. Is that your name, lovely? Is that your name, Enga? Very good. That's one of them. Focus on an intention. Let me start with that one, actually. Let me start with that because I've got 5 different mindset shifts and I've got 4 solutions. So be prepared. There's gonna a lot of things that I would like to share with you. Number 1, or not number 1, it was actually number 4 for me, but I will start with that one. Definitely have a purpose and an intention. Remind yourself of a goal or an outcome of your class. Now, when we think of the goal, the intention, or the purpose of communication in your yoga classes, really the goal is to be effective and compassionate. At least that would be my goal. Be compassionate, be effective, accurate. With that, to me, also comes inclusivity, accessibility, trying to make everyone feel comfortable, being seen, being heard. Yeah, the goal, the ultimate goal of teaching yoga is guiding your students. Yeah, maybe it's inspiring them. Maybe it's helping them in one way or another. Often in a yoga class, we take our students from point A to point B. Yeah, and a type of communication that helps you connect with others, feel connected to them, and also be part of something. So you have got something to share when you teach yoga. It's impossible that you do not have something to share. It doesn't matter what your intention is, but this intention, the purpose, the outcome, or the goal of your class is what your students come to class for and why they practice with you. Yeah, all of that doesn't mean perfection. And all of that doesn't mean that your students will judge you on a mistake or something that you forget, right? Again, you're really not there to impress anyone or to be perfect. Focus on your intention, focus on your purpose, the outcome or the goal of your class, instead of focusing on how you come across to your students, or what your students will think of the way that you sequence, right? That's really an energy that you don't want to bring into your class. Focus on your intention instead. So that's one of them. The other ones, I want to start with the concept of fear. Now, for those that have been with me for a while, you may have heard me say this before, but fear is very similar to excitement. Yeah, the sensations that you experience when you fear something or when you are nervous for something, it's like an increased heart rate. Maybe you've got trouble speaking, maybe you find it difficult to speak, maybe you've got sweaty hands, right? Maybe you feel butterflies in your stomach. All of those sensations are really similar to what we feel, what we experience when you're excited. If at the moment of nervousness, you can trick yourself to think that you're excited instead, your perception and behavior will completely change. Yeah, excitement feels more positive and thrilling. It's something that actually makes you want to do something. Yeah, because you're excited to do it. Yeah, maybe it's something new. Maybe it feels inspiring. Maybe you're eager to help someone. So, mindset shifts. The next time that you feel nervous, tell yourself that you are excited instead, and see how your attitude and your experience change. You can trick yourself believing that instead of feeling nervous, anxious, all of these scary things related to fear, it's excitement, joy, something thrilling, something that you really can't wait to do instead. Mindset shift or a trick to help yourself. The other thing, number three now, number three of the mindset shifts is, remember, you're a yoga teacher. You're not an actor, and there's no need to perform well or to show off. You are not in your yoga classes to impress anyone. Yeah, there is no need to show something to prove your worth, to prove that you are worthy of teaching, or to prove that you have all the knowledge that you need, or to prove that you can practice all the asanas that may, I don't know, I can't even think of an example. I often say something like wheel pose or a wild thing, or maybe a camel pose. All of those are back bends that require some strength and flexibility, openness. They're not accessible for everyone, but it's not necessary for you to have all the knowledge and all the experience and the ability to practice these things to be a yoga teacher. Yeah. You teach for people. You teach to help them, and to help them from point A to point B, or to help them feel better, happier, more relaxed, more at ease, healthier. Whatever your intention, coming back to the intention is, whatever your intention of the yoga class is, it's not to impress anyone or to show off your worth. Yeah, so remember, you're a yoga teacher. You're not there to impress anyone. With that, also remember that if you feel nervous about teaching in English and you're afraid you can't think of the words, or you use the word incorrectly, or you need more time to think about the words, it's not always about what you say. It's not about what you say, but it's more in a yoga class about how you say it. Because a yoga place is a very sensitive atmosphere. There's a very sensitive ambience, and people feel a lot of things. So the tone of your voice, the energy that you bring into your class, the way in which you speak, look at people, communicate people, maybe with gestures, like moving your hands a lot, like I do, But all of that is noticeable. And it's also noticeable if you don't feel comfortable with yourself. So your tone of voice, your energy, the way that you look at people, make contact with people, those things are far more, well, equally as important as what you say. So if you feel nervous about your language and communication, that's okay. But remember to ease in that nervousness. Remember, it's not always about what you say, but very much also about how you express yourself and and the way that you connect with your students. Alrighty. So, number 4 of the mindset shifts. Big mistakes you will never make again. And this is something to remember. Yeah, a big mistake will make you feel many different ways. I can't fill that in for you. But very often, a big mistake will create a memorable moment or also a funny story. And I speak about mistakes a lot, right? If you go through our Instagram live videos or the podcast episodes, I speak about mistakes a lot. But I honestly can't encourage you more to make mistakes, because making mistakes really is one of the biggest the most important ways of how we improve ourselves. So mistakes are learning opportunities. They are never failures. They are really not setbacks. When they happen, laugh at them and excuse yourself if it's needed. I'm going to come back to apologizing and excusing yourself. The biggest mistake that you can make is not making mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, you are stuck in a comfort zone. And that means that you're not allowing yourself to try new things. And often that also means that you're not developing your authentic self. So the biggest mistake is not making mistakes. Yeah. And big mistakes you will make again, because they really have created such a memorable moment that you won't make them again in your classes. And often they also leave you with a very funny story. So one thing to remember. Wow, I've got so many things that I would like to share with you, but I see we're already 40 minutes in. Let me just go to the next point, because the last thing in terms of your mindset shifts is to let go of judgment. And we are our own worst critics. Yeah, approach yourself. And I think this is a very common psychological or practice, really, but approach yourself, speak to yourself as if you're your own friend. Speak to yourself positively. And whenever a mistake happens, or whenever you say something wrong, or whenever you forget an asana in a sequence, or you forget your sequence completely, keep speaking to yourself positively, because those things happen. Yeah, speaking to yourself negatively results in suppressing yourself. Suppressing yourself means that you hold back, or that you're not showing up, that you're maybe not even following your own purpose. If you keep judging yourself, if you keep being very critical about yourself, or if you speak to yourself in a negative way, you will keep feeling stuck as well. You will keep feeling stuck expressing yourself and finding your voice, developing your voice, because it means if you can't express yourself, you will always feel misunderstood or unheard as well. So let go of judgment. Let go of being your worst enemy and your worst critic. Speak to yourself positively. When mistakes happen, or when you forget things, when you forget your sequence, or you can't remember the words, it's all fine. Learning opportunities. All of them are learning opportunities. So, mindset shifts. For those that have joined us later, let me summarize, because I spoke about 6 reasons why we feel nervous and 5 mindset shifts. 6 reasons why we feel nervous, everyone. Overthinking, lack of confidence, not feeling good enough, or comparing yourself to others. afraid that you will forget or can't remember the right words or maybe the right sequence, taking on a character, and negative or past bad experiences. Yeah, your mindset shifts. Fear, the sensations of fear are very similar to the sensations of excitement. So trick yourself when you feel nervous that instead of feeling nervous, you feel excited instead. Then the next things is, remember, you're a yoga teacher. There is no need to perform, to be an actor, to show off or pretend that you're better or know more than you actually do. People want to get to know the most authentic you. Then remember that big mistakes you will never make again. And big mistakes give you a really memorable moment or even a funny story that you can share with people after. Yeah. Biggest mistake is not making mistakes. Then your purpose and intention, that's the thing that we started with. So remind yourself of the goal, the outcome of your class, or the goal and the outcome of communicating with your students. Yeah, what is the intention or the purpose? Is that to be the best and to speak the most correct? Is it to pass a language exam? I don't think so. It's more about being compassionate with others and sharing what you know, right? Sharing what your students ask for. And let go of judgment. Let go of being your worst critic and speak positively to yourself. Now, we've got some practical solutions as well. Practical solutions. I've got 4 for you. Number 1 is a solution for when you make mistakes. Because mistakes are inevitable. They're going to happen. And like I said, they are learning opportunities. But number 1, when mistakes happen, stop apologizing. Stop apologizing. Because as you know, mistakes are things that bring you further. Many people feel that they need to apologize for every mistake they make. Mistakes can be super tiny, right? Unless someone gets hurt or someone genuinely feels offended, or when you get the impression that you have offended someone, it's not necessary to apologize. And apologize, I mean saying sorry for everything. Yeah, some people have the habit of saying sorry for everything. In a yoga class, this is not necessary. Saying sorry too much, and especially when it's not necessary, impacts or affects your student-teacher relationship. What that means is that if you're over apologizing, you're saying sorry for every little thing, it means that you feel somehow guilty for something that you really don't have to feel guilty about. Yeah, and that can come across as people-pleasing, trying to keep everyone as your friend, or devaluing, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right now, your own experience or your worth. Yeah, you make it seem like you don't value yourself. Making mistakes is not so, making language and communication mistakes is not necessarily something to apologize for. What you can do is say, excuse me. Excuse me sounds more like, I know I said something wrong, or I would have said this another way. Excuse me. For example, mixing up left and right. Yeah. Excuse me, other side. Maybe you say, lift your left arm. Excuse me, lift your right arm. Instead of sorry. Sorry is a very big way to apologize and not necessary. So stop saying sorry for mixing up left and right, or your foot instead of your hand, or incorrect use of prepositions, saying at, to, on, above, under. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. If you do want to acknowledge your language mistakes, say excuse me instead, and continue where you left on. Unless you hurt someone, unless someone gets injured, unless you offend someone, yes, do say sorry. But if it's a very simple language or grammar or sequencing, error or something that went differently to what you wanted, it's not necessary to say sorry. So one thing less to feel nervous for. Now, number two, this is a really great trick for when you find it difficult to pronounce certain words. So depending on the languages you speak, some words or some sounds may be harder to pronounce, like in Dutch, in German, in Spanish, and I think in many other languages, the vowel sounds are a, e, I, o, u, right? In English, it's a, I, e, o, u. Now, with that, there's all sorts of combinations of vowel sounds. And in English, we've got the TH, the th sound, or we've got, can't think of another sound right now, but there are sounds that you don't have in your own language. Or there are orders of letters like center in English, British English, it would be centre, or but we pronounce it as center. It may be that there are certain words, certain sounds that you find challenging to pronounce. What can you do when this happens in your yoga class? Find synonyms. Yeah, and practice. You can, first of all, you can practice, go to conversation classes, practice with your friends and your family or peers, other yoga teachers, practice speaking as much as possible, maybe even practice tongue twisters. If you want some tongue twisters to pronounce certain letters, ask me because I've got a lot of them. But if in the moment of teaching you get nervous because there's a word that you don't know how to pronounce or you find it challenging, look for synonyms. For example, if you find the word uninteresting, difficult to pronounce, use boring, right? If you find the word comfortable, difficult to pronounce, use pleasant or enjoyable. Words have synonyms. Why not use a different word? So try to find synonyms for words that you find difficult to pronounce, to not feel nervous about them anymore. And from there, do not neglect your practice. Yeah, don't get lazy. Do practice it. But at the moment of teaching, to feel less nervous, find synonyms. Number three, and this links to your intention or the purpose of the class. Number three, in terms of practical solutions, focus on your students. Because you know now that nervousness can be caused by many different things. Most of the time it's because we fear someone will think something about you or have an opinion or they judge you for something. One of the ways that you can overcome that is by shifting your focus from you and the way that you come across or the way that people think of you to your students instead. Think of the purpose and the outcome of your class. Who is it for? What is it that you want them to feel and experience? What is it that you want to get? What is it that you want to get out of the class? And how can you deliver that? How can you deliver that content optimally? Yeah, shift your focus from how you come across or how people see you or what people think about you to how can I deliver this content in the most perfect way? No, not perfect. In the most optimal way for my students. Yeah, and how can I hold space for these people instead? What do they need from me? And how can I show up the best way for them? Because we teach for our students. Yeah, we're not teaching to show off ourselves. We're teaching for them, to give them an experience. So shift your focus. It's not about you. It's about your students instead. Number 4, last thing, the very last thing, and it's your solution, one of the last solutions, and it's a combination of things. The combination is prepare, practice, or rehearse. Obviously, through preparation, you will feel less nervous because preparation means that you know what you're doing. Yeah, you've prepared what you can say or what you want to say. You put in the work to deliver your cues. Maybe even you put in the work to really think about your theme, what this theme means to you, how it's perceived by your students. Preparation means that you put in a lot of thought and a lot of care into the way that you're going to deliver your classes. Preparation can look like many different things. It can be writing your script or your sequence in full sentences or bullet points. It can be drawing out your sequences with stick figures, for example. It can be searching for or researching appropriate words, terms, expressions, things that you would like to say or use, maybe even quotes that you would like to use in your classes. So preparation depends on your teaching style and your teaching personality, which we also teach in the course bundle. You learn all about this, but preparation is one of those things that will make you feel less nervous. After you prepare, practice and rehearse it. So practice your own sequences. Record it while you speak out loud or you teach to yourself. Watch it and then listen to it again and observe. Do not criticize, do not judge yourself, but observe what you can do better. What can you improve? And you can also teach your own friends and family. Maybe you can teach your friends and family in exchange for feedback. There is one thing that I do want you to remember with asking feedback to people that are not yoga teachers. You can teach your friends and family, but if they are not yoga teachers themselves, do not expect feedback on your teaching skills. And not on your techniques either. You can expect feedback on the way that you use your voice, the way that you express yourself, maybe the theme of your class, and if it feels good or doesn't feel good, but do not expect feedback on the way that you've put your sequence together, or the way that you cued Wild Thing, or the way that you cued Warrior 2, right? But you can always do this. It's a way to prepare yourself, practice, and feel less nervous. And before your class, practice and rehearse preparation before your class as well. Arrive on time, to center yourself and warm up your voice. Arrive on time. Take a moment to sit down, maybe go through some stretches yourself, maybe focus on your breath, maybe do a pranayama exercise and warm up your voice. Warm up your voice, you can chant, for example, or you can do vocal exercises. You can sing if you want to, or maybe even blow through a straw in a glass or in a bottle of water. It's a really good exercise to warm up your vocal cords. All of these things will help you to feel less nervous. Find what feels right for you, practice, try them out, experiment with it, but I really hope that this is useful. So to summarize, again, for those that join later, to summarize all of it, reasons why you may feel nervous: overthinking, lack of confidence, not feeling good enough or comparing yourself, afraid that you can't remember or that you will forget words, or maybe your whole sequence as a whole, taking on a character and not being your authentic self, and a negative or bad past experience. Shift your mindset. Shift your mindset. Fear, very similar to feeling excited. So shift that, turn it around. Remember, you're not a yoga teacher to show off how well you practice yoga or how much you know or how developed your teaching skills are, or your yoga skills are, your asana skills are, or how much you know about the Bhagavad Gita. This is all really not necessary. You teach to your students. Remember as well, big mistakes you will never make again. Focus on your purpose and intention and remind yourself of the goal or the outcome of your class. And let go of judgment, let go of being your own worst critic, and speak positively to yourself. Then the solutions, 4 solutions that you can start experimenting with. When mistakes happen, because they will happen, but when they happen, do not say sorry unless you hurt someone or exclude or offend someone. Otherwise, mixing up left and right, forgetting a side, or mixing up cues, saying your hand instead of your foot, right? That happened to me also. Stop apologizing, say excuse me instead. Then, if there's a word that's hard to pronounce, like important or uninteresting or comfortable, find synonyms, other synonyms. And then prepare, practice, and rehearse. Prepare yourself, practice your sequence, and practice and rehearse as synonyms as well. All right, so I hope that this has been useful for everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions. This has been the longest training that we've done in a long time. We've been here for a whole hour. So I really hope that you found at least one thing that was useful for you. And I want to remind you that from today, you can enroll in our Teach Yoga and English course bundle with my birthday discount. To celebrate my birthday, I'm giving everyone $95 off. So the Teach Yoga and English course bundle, there's 4 courses. The courses are Your Yoga in English, which is a bonus course for really the basics of your communication, practicing and teaching yoga. And then the fun starts because you've got the Find Your Voice, excuse me, do you see? Not sorry, excuse me. You've got essentials to really understand what it means to embody your authentic self, find your voice, to own your personality, own your teacher's style, own your teacher's voice, and also feel authentic, feel yourself, as if you don't lose your own personality when you teach yoga in English. And the Yoga Vocabulary Builder, where you learn all the words, all the terms, expressions, outdated cues, inclusive, accessible language, even the language for business that you need to teach yoga and speak about yoga topics with your students or maybe even your colleagues. So there's a lot that you will learn here. It really is, there's a lot of value in this course bundle because there are 4 courses. And to celebrate my birthday with you, you can enroll now for $350 instead of $445. Yes, so it's a $95 discount. Yeah. So if you want to celebrate my birthday with me, and obviously you want to develop yourself, speak about a variety of yogic topics confidently in English, and start using all the vocabulary, the synonyms, and the variations that you need to sound less repetitive as well. There's a lot in here. It's packed with value. I see some people that have joined our training today have already done it. So maybe share your experience with us in the comments. What do you think of it? What did you learn? How has it helped you? But I would really, really love to see you there. So 4 courses, everything is self-paced. All the videos are pre-recorded so that you can watch them in your own time, complete all the worksheets and all the journal prompts in your own time. There's no rush, no limitation on finishing it because you have access forever. Once you enroll, you will keep having access forever. Yeah, but once you enroll, it's yours completely. So check it out. I would love to see you there. I'm just going to quickly read some final comments here. I love that. I'm learning Spanish now, living in. I used to be intimidated as well. Thank you so much for sharing, Laura. And thank you, Douglas. That means a lot. Good energy. I love to help teachers who need to improve their English communication. How we say things really is what matters the most. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you, Laura. And I see Delvi's here. There's a lot of people here today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Let me check on Facebook too. And let me know if you have any questions about anything. Obviously, it didn't even tell you. If you have questions
Let me check on Facebook too.
If you have questions about anything, always feel free to write to. I think this is where I'm going to leave it today because we've been here for an hour and I don't want to take up more of your time. I know your time is precious. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I really, really enjoyed being here with all of you on my birthday. And I hope that this training has been useful. And I hope that you will enroll on the course bundle. I really, really think it will help you to not only build the foundation of your international teaching career, but truly feel yourself teaching yoga and English. Because if you feel yourself, I promise that opportunities internationally, online and abroad, will come to you. Yeah, because you're really putting yourself in a mindset of also attracting these opportunities. So lots to think about. And if you have questions, always feel free to write me. You can write me on Instagram, on Facebook, or at annie@engaunite.com. And if you want like more trainings like these, if you're new to our channel, do feel free to also check out the podcast, Your Yoga in English. It's on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And we've got a lot of free resources if you really want to just test the waters and find out where you are right now. Check out the quiz, check out the level test. The quiz is what's your style of teacher's voice? Check out the level test for your English grammar and your yoga vocabulary, and the 10 tips video series for multilingual yoga teachers. So check out the links in the bio. Any questions, I'm here for you. And I wish all of you a great rest of your day. Mwah. Goodbye, everyone.